It looks like vampires have to obey Mendel's laws when producing progeny. Powers pass from one generation to another. That's why Dawson wants me to sire him.
Its effectiveness has been proven by many. Even the flu is no match for the Swanborough cordial.
This district seems to get uglier every year.
It's locked, all right. It's locked, all right. It's locked.
It's time to see if this Christina is still working.
Good evening, sir. Do you remember me?
If you're here for a reward, you'll be sorely disappointed. But I'll gladly shake the hand of a fellow countryman.
I'm not here for a bounty. I'm a doctor. Dr. Reid from the Pembroke.
A doctor? In Whitechapel. What an opportunity. My name's Bates. Cadogan Bates.
Do you require assistance, Mr. Bates?
Not me, but your skills could help a lot of people round here. That would help my business, because I say a live tenant's a paying tenant.
It's unusual to see someone so happy around here, especially considering the current situation.
Why should I be sad now? There've always been wars, disease, tragedy. There always will be.
That's an unusual way of seeing things in these trying times.
I don't see why I should shed a tear for another man's woes. I'm healthy, and I intend to stay so.
What help could I possibly be to your business?
That's simple. I already get good money from all those fleeing the war. Can you imagine what they'd be willing to pay if I could offer medical assistance too?
Mr. Bates, do not make me regret saving your life in this quarantine zone.
I understand, Dr. Reid, you're from a good family. Don't want to get your hands dirty. That's fine. I'll be happy to act as your middleman.
I'm no saint, but to take advantage as you do, you are a despicable man who could only prosper in these dark times.
So it's a no then. That's too bad. The Reid tonic could have really helped people, you know, save lives. Isn't that what you do? I mean, people buy that Swanborough shit.
What is your business exactly?
I offer fair lodgings for a modest price to the poor and weary of Whitechapel.
I see. And what about those who cannot pay?
Well, deals can be done, if you know what I mean. Money's not the only currency. After all, I'm not immune to a pretty face.
In other words, you take advantage of these poor lost souls.
Begging your pardon, I thought you was a man who could appreciate the complexity of the modern world. Things ain't just black and white, you know.
Tell me, what's your honest opinion of the increasing violence in London?
People are just beginning to discover what we've always known. This city's rotten to the core. They just took their bloody time to wake up and notice it.
What do you mean?
People are acting like the violence is news. But it's always been savage down here. It just bubbles to the surface every now and again.
Have you heard anything about Nurse Crane and her dispensary?
Not really.
Why am I not convinced?
Maybe it's because you lack faith. Being a skeptic must be useful for a man of science.
A man such as yourself, knee-deep in the muck of Whitechapel, must know more. Speak now.
Heard it closed after the owners died. Refugees don't want to come to Whitechapel no more. Scared, I hear.
You sound disappointed.
As long as she was there at the dispensary, it attracted more immigrants and kept my place full. Such a shame.
How are conditions in Whitechapel at present?
The way this sickness is spreading, I don't think there'll be enough new bloods to replace those tenants I'm losing from this bloody thing.
You seem to have recovered well since your attack. Do you ever think about what happened to you?
Not much. It was a fucking nightmare. Savages, absolute bloody savages. Their appearance. Jesus. It made me want to puke.
You'd better not come back here. I won't be around next time to save you. Since I took an oath to help people, can I be of assistance?
Well, seen better days, that's for sure. But it was bound to happen with all these refugees about.
Infecting you is probably the last thing on these people's minds. Take this, in any case.
What? You give me this for free? Don't have a clue about this place, do you?
Goodbye, Mr. Bates. I cannot enter.
science fails you, this elixir will give you faith again. The Swanborough cordial can be the answer to all your...
Good evening, Mr. Petrescu. What are you doing here?
I could ask you the exact same question, Mr. Doctor. Now leave me alone.
Are you living on the streets, Mr. Petrescu?
And why not? Those who believe they'll be safe behind walls are blind.
What about your house?
My house is always open to any poor soul needing a roof. All my work here is lost now that Dorothea is gone, thanks to you.
Why are you so aggressive?
I remember the night you came here and convinced me to open my door to you, sir. I'd like to punch you right on your chops.
What do you plan to do now that Nurse Crane is gone?
I'm not sure. Strange men came to see me after Dorothea's death, with strange weapons and very odd stories.
What kind of stories?
Stories all Romanian children know. It was as if I was home again. Vampires, Mr. Doctor. Vampires.
You believe them? Aren't you too old to hold a weapon or listen to scary stories?
Yes, I am old and alone and will die soon, but if these stories are true, maybe I have found myself another cause.
Goodbye, Mr. Petrescu. I have this thirst for blood. I can't believe I'm doing this.
Good evening, my dear colleague.
I'd like to see what kind of medicine you're selling.
The Swanborough cordial can be the answer to all your problems, as long as you have the money. When science fails you,
Good evening, Benjamin. Can I help you?
I'm afraid not, Mr. Reid.
A gun, alcohol, and a bad temper make a terrible cocktail, sir. Goodbye for now. Good evening, Benjamin. Can I help you?
I'm afraid not, Mr. Reid.
A gun, alcohol, and a bad temper make a terrible cocktail, sir. Goodbye for now.
dare you interfere with my...
Leech! Over there! There's one of them vermin! Aha! Doesn't like burning, does it?
It's locked, all right. I cannot enter.
It's a leech! Kill it! Watch it! It's a killer! Over there! There's one of them vermin!
This is Braille. I need someone who can read this. A restaurant where the guests are blindfolded before being seated. Intriguing. I'm Dr. Jonathan Reid. Do you need help, sir?
I think I'm fine. But what happened to my jailer? Be careful. He's as vicious as he is strong.
You don't have to worry about him anymore. What happened here?
I am Tadao Kimura. I was imprisoned by this lunatic for several days. I thought I was going to die here.
You're not going to die now, Mr. Kimura. If you hurry, you should be able to get home safely.
It seems that I owe you my life. You have all my gratitude, Dr. Reid, since it is the most precious thing I possess.
Goodbye, Mr. Kimura. Take care. It's locked. I should find another way to get into the neighborhood. I think this passage could lead me close to Aloysius Dawson's mansion. It's locked, all right.
For Ascalon! Show me your power, newborn!
Louise's father was determined to find and save her. I cannot enter.
locked in here!
This is my territory! Ah!
Vampire will never be your wife!
Don't you know better?
Let me go, you bastard! How long are you gonna keep me locked in here?
Miss Teasdale, are you all right?
How do you know my name? Who are you?
My name is Dr. Reid. I managed to track you down thanks to your father.
So my father really was looking after me. This man, this vampire told me my father was dead. Is it true?
I'm afraid so, miss. I'm so sorry for your loss. But you are free to go, as your abductor is no more.
I suppose my jailer also killed my father, didn't he?
Thankfully, he did not search your father's corpse, where I found his notes describing where he might find you. You should read them.
I must find my father's body. He deserves a proper burial.
Goodbye, Miss Teasdale, and be careful. Until we meet again. I have this thirst for blood. This is despicable. I have this thirst for blood. I can't believe I'm doing this.
I hope you can stay a little longer this time.
Good evening, Miss Price. How are you tonight?
Dr. Reid! I didn't know you had returned from the war. I had a new doctor when you left, but he's not as kind as you.
Always glad to see a former patient in good condition. It's been a long time.
Too long indeed. And as a token of my appreciation, I'll grant you the best price if you fancy buying anything from my humble shop.
Do you know Aloysius Dawson?
Everybody knows him. He's only been to my shop once, though, looking for rare books and other intriguing antiques.
Did he buy something from you?
No, he left quickly. He almost laughed at my goods. Mr. Dawson may be a rich man, but you can't buy good manners.
But isn't Aloysius Dawson known for his philanthropy?
That was before his brother Robert died in an aeroplane crash. Since then, the remaining twin has turned into a heartless tycoon.
What can you tell me about yourself, Miss Price?
I'm still managing my shop. The only difference is, since the quarantine, we're open at night. On the contrary, seem to have changed a lot.
Really? Have I changed that much? It must have been the war and the night shifts since my return.
Don't get me wrong, Dr. Reid, you're still handsome. Just maybe a little bit wiser, more serious. It suits you well.
Tell me more about yourself. No new fiancé? I remember you were hoping to get remarried. I'm sure you must have a few suitors.
Who would marry an old bat like myself with a grown daughter and a little business? As you know, I only fancy handsome men like yourself.
Have you noticed anything in particular in this part of town recently?
Other than you coming back to cheer me up? Nothing at all, Dr. Reid.
Does your daughter still worry you, Miss Price? I remember you were often concerned about her health when she was younger.
Have you not seen Carol since you returned? She's almost a young woman now, but she'll always remain my sweet little baby.
So you're less afraid?
Some things never change. Carol is still too clumsy for her own good. Sometimes her innocence puts her in real danger.
Why would her innocence put her in danger?
She does not realize how cruel life can be. Maybe I was a bad mother to protect her too much. My poor dear Carol.
You have every reason to be cautious, Miss Price, especially in these difficult times.
Maybe you could talk with her, Dr. Reid. It would be nice to have a man here more often. We would both feel safer.
May I look at your goods, Miss Price?
It's always a pleasure to have you here, Dr. Reid. Take all the time you need.
Good morning.
I hope you can stay a little longer.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Miss Price. I'm Dr. Reid. Do you remember me?
Dr. Reid? Yes, of course. You are the doctor who healed me and my mum. Good evening, Dr. Reid.
Good to see you too, Carol. Are you all right?
Oh, yes. I did not hurt myself recently. I know how to take care of myself now. I'm almost a grown-up.
Have you ever met the famous Aloysius Dawson?
Yes. A very strange man. Not very nice.
What do you mean?
He said he was ready to pay good money for rare books, and then laughed at what we showed him.
Why are you awake at night, Carol?
I am helping my mother in her shop. It's not easy, but I'm a grown-up now.
I'm sure your mother is grateful for your help.
I do the best I can. But I'm so clumsy sometimes. I drop things. I injure myself. It's a good thing my mother has the patience of an angel.
Why is work not easy? Is something or someone bothering you?
Oh no, most people are gentle with me. But I'm so nervous sometimes. I pay no attention and hurt myself. Good thing my mum learned first aid.
What can you tell me of the people living nearby?
I don't speak to many people, except our customers. It's not easy to make friends. And with the epidemic, it's even more difficult.
What can you tell me about the epidemic?
Some of our regular customers have left London. Some others only send their housemaids now. Everybody fears the contagion. I've even seen men with weapons.
Have you no friends at all?
No. Mr. Nithercote used to pass by and was always nice to me.
Does he not come by anymore?
No. Mum said he was weird. Always reciting poetry about a girl he'd met in Whitechapel. I wonder who this camellia may be.
Do you enjoy working with your mother?
Oh yes, Doctor. My mother raised me alone after my father died. We've always lived together, and she has always watched over me.
Do you remember your father?
No, I was just a baby then. My mother always told me how strong and good he was.
Do you ever think about getting married now you're a woman.
Oh no, Dr. Reid. Mum always says I'm still a child who has no idea how tough life can be. No husband would like a clumsy girl like me.
Goodbye, Carol.
I am sorry, I can't help you, sir. Perhaps you should talk with someone else
instead. The Spanish flu is not the only hidden killer around. Good evening, sir. May I ask you what you're doing here at this late hour?
I'm conducting an investigation about the epidemic in this part of town.
And who are you, sir?
I'm Dr. Jonathan Reid from the Pembroke Hospital. May I ask who you are, and why all the questions?
I'm Detective Inspector Charles Albright from Scotland Yard. And I don't find your answers convincing. What is a Pembroke doctor doing in the West End at this time of night?
I'm here on my own, sir. I have no official appointment, other than my desire to save lives.
Then we have the same objective, sir. The difference is, to catch my suspects, I use a magnifying glass and handcuffs instead of a microscope.
What can you tell me about this district?
I'm the one asking questions, especially when there's a killer on the loose.
What killer?
I'm not going to discuss that with the civilians, sir.
Haven't I told you about the investigation I'm conducting? Perhaps I could help you.
All right, without giving you too much information, I'll tell you this. I'm convinced there is a homicidal maniac on the loose, using the epidemic to disguise his kills.
And what about the epidemic?
We both know the situation is critical, don't we, Doctor? Colleagues of mine die almost every day.
What are you really doing here?
I told you. I'm a detective inspector from Scotland Yard, investigating suspicious cases in the area.
Do you work alone?
Yes. The situation is difficult for the police. Many of us are sick, and since the summer strike, most men apply a work to rule on their patrols.
What about the situation in the East End? Why are there no police there to protect the civilians?
I know, it's a shame, but we just don't have enough men to cover the entire city.
Why are you investigating at night?
Criminals rarely act in daylight, you know. But since you are also a night worker, have you noticed anything strange which requires police attention?
I'd like to report a name, Inspector. Jeffrey McCullum. I'm afraid he's some sort of vigilante, trying to recruit an army of angry citizens.
Then I'll write the name down and transmit this intelligence to the appropriate office. Thank you, sir.
Tell me all you know about that homicidal maniac you're looking for.
I'm not even sure there is only one. The wounds are always the same, but the modus operandi varies. Sometimes violent and brutal, sometimes precise and swift.
How could different killers inflict the same wounds?
That's my main problem. If my theory is correct, maybe we're facing a group of individuals sharing the same violent tendencies. Perhaps a sadist cult.
Do you know anything in particular about a man called Aloysius Dawson?
Who doesn't know the man? I think he intervened personally to put an end to the police strike of last August.
What else can you tell me about him?
Aloysius Dawson is exactly the kind of powerful and influential man who could commit murder and get away with it, with just one phone call.
Goodbye, Detective Inspector Albright.
Goodbye, Dr. Jonathan Reid. I'm sure we'll talk again soon.
It's locked, all right.
song in the dark, the whispers
It's
of the
locked,
sun.
all right.
So many signs to interpret. Jonathan Reid. At last we meet. The cards warned me you would visit tonight.
I beg your pardon, sir. Do I know you?
Of course you do. Our mutual friend, Dr. Swansea, can't speak highly enough of you. My name is Usher. Usher Talltree.
You are the leader of the Brotherhood, are you not?
Primate of the Brotherhood of St. Paul's Stole, to be precise. I'm really glad we met tonight. I love it when the cards tell me a truth.
The cards told you to expect me.
Yes, they can tell me everything. They told me that you have not taken another life since your poor sister died.
Can you read the cards for me?
Are you sure you want to know what they will reveal?
Yes, I am.
It will cost you 150 shillings.
Perhaps later. Tell me about yourself. What do you do here, besides turning cards in the middle of the night?
I'm for most a charlatan. For a few, I'm a vampire. And for you, I'm the primate of St. Paul's Stole.
Some believe you to be a vampire. Who?
The Guard of Priwen, who else? For a time, they sent spies to observe my activities, and they even broke into my home to gather proof.
Did they steal anything from you?
A personal notebook they quickly took to their headquarters. All they had to do is to look at me. I'm aging. What better and definite proof that I'm not an immortal?
Do you want your notebook back?
If you ever find it, I'd be glad to have it back, of course. I do ask one thing, though. Do not read it, Jonathan. Some secrets are not meant to be revealed, even to immortals.
For how long have you been a primate?
It was 15 years last year.
What do you make of Dr. Swansea?
Edgar is a brilliant and dedicated man. A man of his time, sometimes a little muddled, but always looking for new paths and new concepts.
What can you tell me about the neighborhood?
I really don't know. I don't often go outside. And when I do, it's usually to quite distant destinations.
So you see nothing in the stars for me? You're a poor fortune teller, then?
Oh, I can tell you many things. But they will only concern you, not the city. For example, I know that you offered your sister the final rest she asked for.
Do the cards speak of my Mary?
No. It's the burning aura of guilt that precedes you everywhere you go.
Read my fortune, then.
You have been chosen, Jonathan. I see on you the mark of a strong being, so powerful it needn't even reveal its strength.
Is there anything you could tell me about Aloysius Dawson?
Aloysius Dawson. Yes, of course. We met on several occasions. With time, he got deeper and deeper into the occult.
He's not the only one. It's been quite the fashion for several decades. The Golden Dawn, for instance, is just one example.
True. Aloysius was a member of the Golden Dawn until 1900. Then his thirst for dark knowledge grew. I'm talking forbidden texts, readings which blackened his heart.
How do you measure the amount of blood on my hands?
I told you. The cards always tell the truth. Well, most of the time.
Is it possible to tell me my future?
A vampire's fate is much more delicate to read, Doctor. But I can try.
All right. Let me hear it.
You're on a path to redemption, Jonathan. But be careful. One single trip and you'll fall.
That doesn't sound promising.
Take this, young Ekon, as a personal reward for your strong will. Keep following the right path and you'll reach safety.
How did you learn about Mary? And spare me the hocus-pocus parlor tricks. The truth, now!
Swansea told me. Don't look at me like that. His task is to observe and gather information about vampires. He had to tell me about Mary.
Mary did not deserve her fate. She had already suffered enough during her life. And yet the pain and the suffering went on after her death.
Suffering is part of the immortal condition. Some prefer to lose their minds rather than face the simple truth. Pain will never stop.
May I ask you about the Brotherhood?
Of course. But I must warn you that there are some subjects we consider taboo, in spite of our fondness and acceptance of your kind.
I know there is no love lost between the Guard of Priwen and the Brotherhood. What caused this rift?
It was 1801. The Brotherhood was stronger then, a strength that made them hungry for ever greater power. An argument divided them, and the wound never healed.
What was the nature of the disagreement?
The problem was that both sides considered themselves the legitimate heirs of the original Brotherhood. We divide up the books, the relics, not always fairly or with consideration.
Who founded the Brotherhood?
That's precisely the kind of question I cannot answer. It is delicate, and may reveal some of our secret traditions.
So you're not just a club of academics and scholars?
Once upon a time, very long ago, the Brotherhood did more than simply study the vampires. They took actions to eliminate the more ferocious and corrupted.
Goodbye, sir. Until we meet again.
I rarely wander, yet it amuses me to converse with your kind. The Empress. Again. What are the cards trying to tell us?
Seconds later.
Dawson's mansion. Here I am at last. But the question remains, am I ready to make a dying of my progeny? It's locked. It's locked, all right.
Finally you're here, Dr. Reid. What took you so long?
I had to pass... sir.
Death, pestilence surround us, and time is against me.
I see you've gathered some of the most expensive, albeit experimental, blood transfusion equipment available. All this could be so useful in a hospital.
Yes, yes. Since Lord Redgrave sent me a doctor to perform my conversion, I thought you might find some of these devices useful.
Most thoughtful. But tonight I'm not here as a physician.
But I feel reassured that a specialist such as yourself would help me to escape the Reaper.
Very well. But before I proceed, I have a few questions for you.
If you must, but be quick, for I don't have much time left in this life.
First of all, I need to be sure that you know exactly what is going to happen to you, sir.
I can assure you I'm as informed as any man can be. I have planned for this moment, Dr. Reid. Planned very carefully.
Sir, I'm going to end your life. Do you not wish to discuss the procedure for even a minute?
I don't have a minute to indulge in idle chatter. I can't feel my legs, and the cold, so cold.
I will become your maker. Do you understand what that means?
Well, I certainly won't consider you my liege, or some such drivel. You can be assured of that.
You'll need to feed on warm blood. Blood from mortals. How do you feel about that?
I'm rich, Dr. Reid, and powerful. I'm sure I'll be able to acquire all the blood I need without ever having to sully my own hands.
What do you know about the Guard of Priwen?
What I do know is that I'll crush anyone or anything that would dare to oppose me.
Let's move on, then.
Please, I'm cold and tired. I feel my life waning with every moment.
But first, before you embrace immortality, what would you do with such a gift?
That's a rather impertinent question, Dr. Reid, and I will do as I please.
Answer me all the same. What will your first action be as an immortal?
To save London. I will finance the most efficient quarantine ever seen. I will build a wall that will separate the sick boroughs from the healthy ones.
Quarantine is not a bad idea, medically speaking. But I'm convinced this epidemic will not be contained by mere walls.
As long as the right people are on the right side of the wall, that's all that matters.
But you can't guarantee infection will not spread. Just one contagious carrier would be enough to create an apocalypse.
The apocalypse is already knocking at the gate. We must be strong now.
What if a new outbreak happens inside your walls? You'll have created a giant trap.
That won't happen, as long as we dispose of anyone that is contaminated as soon as they are spotted.
Who gave you the right to decide the fate of thousands of people?
My money. My money and my pending immortality gives me the needed authority, Doctor. I'm a businessman. I'm used to tough decisions.
You really plan to build a quarantine wall across London?
Yes, it will be tall and strong, separating the wheat from the chaff.
By doing so, you will also create two separate prisons.
Come, sir. An eminent doctor like yourself knows that such radical measures have proved efficient in the past.
Let me guess. You mean to isolate the rich from the poor?
This is a desperate measure for desperate times. England must prevail, Doctor, no matter the cost.
I've heard enough. It's time to proceed.
At last! All right, do what you have to do. If it hurts, so be it. I've been preparing such a long time for this.
You don't deserve immortality, Mr. Dawson.
What? What are you prattling on about?
I don't believe I've ever met a man so bereft of empathy. You, sir, are despicable.
No! Wait! You can't! I made a deal with Lord Redgrave. I'll finance whatever he wants. Please, just ask him.
Sleep now. Rest now. Forever.
I would have lived forever. Who are you to decide my fate? Who gave you the authority?
Is it done, Dr. Reid? Is Aloysius Dawson reborn, as expected?
Alas, Aloysius Dawson was not brought back to life after his death. The man is gone.
What? What happened?
He didn't survive the procedure. He was too weak.
This is unacceptable, nevertheless. You were given the simplest task.
Well, get rid of me then.
From now on, you're an outcast. Banished. You are forbidden to ever appear in front of us again. Ascalon will smite you on sight, and your heart will be thrown to the rats.
I'll leave you then. Have fun with your puppets and shadow plays, Lord Redgrave.
Yes, go, traitor, and take that awful creature, that counterfeit of a woman I saw waiting for you, and be gone!